I'm sure you guys have been seeing the Siren Eye trend everywhere at the moment, and this video is my take on that. Listen, I don't want to suck my own dick, right? But I feel like this is me. This makeup style where everything's sort of more winged out and more feline is my favourite to do. A little bit smoky, it's just so sexy, and who doesn't want to be that? So listen, I'm going to try my best to show you exactly what I did. I made it very easy. It's really simple, the steps to do it. I love this eye as well, paired with matte skin and a matte lip. I feel like it's such a good combo. But yeah, if you want to learn how to do the Siren Eye trend from me, I'll try my best, babes. Let's go. To save a little bit of time, I have already done my brows, and I've also like prepped my lids as well with a little bit of concealer. You can use like a proper eye base or whatever. I just find concealer works for me in this look. It doesn't really matter too much. But I'm going to do eyes first, just so we have room to kind of clean everything up, because I feel like with this look, it's very like sultry. One thing I will say, and this isn't necessary, however, for this look in particular, because we want everything to look really like kind of pulled back, making our eyes look more like almond shape rather than round. I feel like when you fill in your brows, try to make the tail, if you can, like I said, it's not a must, it's not a big deal, it would just enhance it. Try to make the tail a little bit straighter. Jesus, this COVID is clogging up my throat. I find by doing that, it allows us to have a bit more room as well to do shadow. And imagine if the tail was sort of drooping down, everything else would be drooping down. Like if my eyebrows were like this, see how much that's brought down my face? But if we just lifted the end slightly, you see that? You get the lift. It's just enhancing. Don't go shaving your brows off. Though I know it was a trend, been there, done that, babes. But if you can and you want to, that's just an option. So right, let's pull you in. All you're going to need is some kind of brown and black eyeshadows. It depends what kind of tone you want to do. Do you want to do more warmer tone, cooler tone browns? That's totally up to you. You could even do this with colour, right? But what we're really focusing on is just the shape, and this is kind of going to be like an easy version that we all can do. The eye's easy anyway, it's just all about the wing and the illusion, right? So I'm going to be using the BPerfect Clinetelle palette. Use whatever you have. BPerfect are my favourite eyeshadows, which is why I use them. I mean, look at the state of this palette. That should be illegal. Pretty much I'm going to be dipping into like the black and then some of the browns as well. Grab yourself a fluffy brush like this. I kind of want fluff because I want to blend, but don't do anything too big because you don't want the colour to kind of cover the entire lid. You'll see what I mean. Taking this shade here, this is Sandy. Pretty much what I want to do with that is just start to blend that on the outer corner, kind of into the lash line. Almost like winging it out, really buffing that through and creating like a wing shape. I'm going in with a little bit of product because then, and like tapping it off, because then I can always add and build up. What do we say, ladies? You can add, but you can't what? Take away. I'm just using this as a bit of a base colour to kind of get the look going, but the main focus is when it comes to this look is keeping everything below the crease. We don't want to round anything off, we want to keep everything here. But you saw how easy that was. Like that's done now. Oh my god, I'm so snotty. Sorry guys, you're literally going to keep hearing me like thanks COVID, I love being a little snotty mess. Okay, now we want an angled brush like this, something that's going to start creating the shape for us. At this point, what I like to do is actually take a mixture of like a dark brown. This is a shade, no, too much, as in the shade, not too much, and a black, so the just black from the palette. What I'm not going to do though is what a lot of people will tell you when you're kind of mapping out your wing liner, is they'll tell you to follow your lash line. That does work, but for this particular look, I feel like we want everything to be pulled kind of out and back, more kind of coming out this way rather than too up. Does that make sense? I don't know why, I just feel like that works better. I also feel like that will make it a little bit easier if you have hooded eyes as well. Outer corner, kind of pulling back. Then I go in literally like a third of the way into my eye. Don't want to put anything on the rounded part of the eye up here. I want to keep everything more sort of flat, and you just join it up to kind of make that wing. Then just fill it in, baby. It's as simple as that. See, personally, I want to smoke this out a little bit, just add a little bit of sex, you know? Just using the same colours to do that. I'm just going to start sort of like scratching the line of the wing with the brush. Really, really light pressure. I'm like holding the end of the brush here. I'm not smoking it out too far, but enough. The key to this though is don't make this part here too thick. Keep this nice and close to the lash line, because this area of the eye is where it's going to start to look rounded if you do go too thick. Does that make sense? This is what I find has worked for this look. Anyway, guys, I like to grab a liquid liner. I'm taking one of my favorites at the moment. If you watch my favorites video, you would have seen this. It's the Benefit They're Real Extreme Precision Liner, and this is in extra black. This eyeliner is so black. I'm going to keep it right towards the lash line. Start to create a bit of a wing as well, following the shape that we already have, like this. Then I just kind of add a little bit of shadow to merge that in with the shadow, so there's no like disconnect there. Can you see how much more like darker and intense that is now that I've added that black liner, but it still looks smoked out? See how already we're getting that shape? We just need to clean this up now. So I'm going to take my P. Louise cut carver on a little flat. I can't say flat at the moment. Like in my other video, I was like fat. On a flat blush. Hello. There's a little bit of the makeup remover on the brush. Clean this up. You're going to see it literally removes the product so well. See how easy and effortless that was? You can use concealer, of course, but I find this to stop any sort of clogging up or anything weird going on here, because we're literally taking away product, we're not adding. If I need to as well, if I feel like it's sort of not as flat over here as I'd want it to be, I'll also take this on top of the wing like this, just to sort of flatten things out. I think I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. And what's cool as well, right, is if you want to do this as more of a daytime look, do a smaller wing. It doesn't have to be as long or as thick as this, as long as it's sort of like a flat shape. See, when I look down from the inner corner to the outer corner, it's all flat. There's no like wing shape like this happening. It's all flat. That's what you want, babes. Now for the part that kind of scares me a little bit, and the reason is because, coffee break, on me, I actually don't like this. However, I'm talking about when people bring the outer corner in like this, I just don't think it suits me. What I like to do is keep it nice and small, and also it's the same concept as the outer corner. So instead of me bringing it up, following the lower lash line, I went out, right? It's the same for the inner corner. So instead of me following it down, like instead of in, like angling the line like this, whoop, that's how I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna bring it up a little bit. Does that make sense? Oh, does that make sense? It's better if I just show you in it, let's be honest. Hold on, I need to get closer. There's our line. I don't like to create a triangle either. I literally just like to keep it as a little line. Like I don't bring it back into my lower lash line or anything like that. I am just going to take a little bit of my P. Louise cut carver. Honestly, this is a godsend. Having this on my table when I do tutorials, or like just in general, I use it so much. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm literally just cleaning up the inner corner ever so slightly. Still looks a little bit weird, but once you've got lashes on and stuff, it will all come together. So I'm just going to chuck on any old mascara. I mean, this one bangs, but like use whatever you want. This is the Benefit Bad Gal Bang. Right on the outer corner. Not bringing it in the inner corner. We're keeping this all plain, and we're just gonna do the outer corner. By the way, if my face is looking a little bit pale, it's because I don't have tan on it right now. Like I don't really match, so just bear with that. I can already see the comments when I'm putting on foundation. People are gonna be fucking savage. Before I pop on lashes, I'm just gonna take my Made by Mitchell Black Track All Smudge No Bludge Cold Bludge. Deciding whether to blame COVID or my IQ for my shit speech. I decide COVID, okay? All Smudge No Budge Black Track Kohl Pencil. Just gonna tightline with this pencil just to make sure we're kind of covering any gaps. These lashes, you need them for this type of look. I'm telling you, they just transform the eye. They're perfect. Claudia Kilsby lashes. This is the half lash collection. We're going to be using HL6. On here, they don't look like much, but I promise you on the eye, you'll see. The lash glue I'm going to be taking is my Box Beautiful latex free lash glue. Do we see her? She's like enough. You know, she's not too much. We're not covering anything. We're just enhancing that outer corner to really emphasize that shape. But these lashes, honestly, I mean, even when I don't do a look like this, I love them anyway. They're like one of my favorite lashes. I spoke about them in my beauty favorites. Simple but effective. Still deciding if there's anything I want to do to the lower lash line. I think it just depends how sort of smoky I want to go, but we'll do that after I've done like skin and stuff I normally do anyway. Same routine. I'm going to go off camera, do the other eye, and we can be back to do skin. The skin is going to be lush, guys. It's going to be like matte. The attention's on the eyes, and I've been loving this skin routine anyway. So I have already moisturized. I use my Skin by Kim moisturizer, but I'm just going to go in with a little bit of SPF now. This is the ZitSticka Mega Shade SPF 50. Breakout proof sunscreen serum. I love this stuff, like on its own, but also under makeup as well. Hate anything too greasy or too heavy, especially because I have oily skin. That's the last thing I want to be putting under my makeup. This one is more like lightweight, and it feels really moisturizing too, and it doesn't break me out. Right, I'm just going to give that a second to really settle into the skin. For primer, to blur out any pores, I'm going to be taking my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. This is the original one. Nice big chunk of that, and pop that into the T-zone. Put it onto my chin and my forehead as well. And then what I like to do is actually set this in place with a little bit of powder. I find that the powder almost like sets the primer in place, but also kind of resists the oils coming through, you know, because I got some oils, babe, let me tell you. Whatever powder you like to do this, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me powder. Pressed one is what I prefer, and I'm just going to use a little bit of that to set my T-zone. Isn't that difference kind of crazy between like the shine and the not shine? Over the top of that, just to add, I mean, number one, a little bit of hydration, but also this is going to allow something for my foundation to stick to. Milk Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray. I'm going to give that a good mix. Concealing before foundation, I'm going to be taking my Nars. You think I'd know what this is called off by heart by now. The Soft Matte Complete Coverage Concealer. This is in shade Custard. Fave concealer to cover up any marks or blemishes on the skin. Nice one there. I had to pop that one yesterday. She was there. To be honest, it doesn't matter too much because the foundation I'm using is so full coverage. This is the foundation I'm going to be taking. It's the BPerfect Chroma cover. This is in N5. It says N, by the way, like N for neutral, but it's actually quite warm. God, COVID's back at it again with my clammy throat. I'm actually going to take this on a brush to begin with, and then I'm going to go with a sponge to get rid of any excess, but just start to tap that in. I mean, look at that already. It's crazy how beautiful this foundation is considering how full coverage it is. I mean, it's possible, like BPerfect have very much proved that, but what I mean is it's not overly matte. It doesn't look cakey or dry. It just, oh my God, it just like melts into the complexion. It's so good. My only kind of like negative thing that I'd say about this foundation is I tend to get a little bit oily with it. It's one of those foundations that I have to sort of touch up with, but I'm not mad at that. Let's be real, if you have oily skin, is there really a miracle foundation out there? No. Also, another thing, I like to avoid right underneath the under eye because I just let my concealer do the work there. It's excess build-up of product under the eye that you won't need because obviously concealer is made to conceal. I just prefer the way that that looks, so I kind of miss right underneath the eye. Okay, cool. Moving on to concealer. Can't resist using the HNB Cosmetics Concealer today. I'm going to be using shade 2.5W. I normally use 2W, but I'm out of that right now. So we're going to take this and then I can just brighten it up with 0.5N. Down the sides of the nose, around here, and up here. I do this placement anyway, but specifically for this look, it's really nice because you can kind of blend everything up. That way we're keeping everything nice and lifted. A little bit on the chin, nose and forehead, and here, why not? Baby marshmallow sponge. I'm going to take a little bit more of my milk setting spray just to kind of dampen that a little bit. A little touch of that to blend in the concealer, why not? Press it onto the sides of my nose like that. And then I'm going to follow this up, basically underneath that wing, all the way back to the temple. Whatever's left on the sponge, I'm going to get right up underneath that eye. See the difference from this side to this side, just how much the under eye is really lifted. Even the eye makeup again, it's crazy. This is my favourite sort of concealer placement though, because it's almost reverse contouring my nose, a bonus. And we're lifting at the same time. Like, what more could we want? See, this is the beauty and the fun of makeup, right? We can really enhance or change or almost create different shapes and kind of make our features look a certain way. Cream contour today is something completely different. We're going to be taking the Nars bronzing cream. This is brand new, guys. I know, sit down. I'm not using Primark. Sit down. This is in shade Laguna 2, by the way. Press my brush into the product. Press it into the areas where I want that to be. So the cheeks, forehead, a little bit onto my chin as well. I'm going to do something different for my nose. This blends in so effortlessly, by the way. It's actually a little bit more cool toned. It's like a neutral tone, really. Like, it's not, I can see a bit of warmth, but has that cool tone to kind of shape up a little bit, which is unusual. It's something different for me, but I really enjoy the formula of this. Very, very creamy. If you feel it, it's almost like serumy. Within a few taps, it's blended into the skin. It's very, very soft. I feel like it's very beginner friendly. It's buildable too, which is why I'm actually going to take, I don't know why I'm tapping. I'm going to take a little bit more just right into that cheekbone area here. Just deepen that ever so slightly because I do like my cream contour. By the way, for placement, I like to really, really lift it up here. So obviously I blend it to create that shadow. And then as I'm tapping up, you can see I almost create like a triangle. So it's like comes up to here, and then it sort of peaks down to the corner of my mouth. I find popping it here is going to make everything look really cohesive with the Siren Eye. The cream contour on my nose, I'm going to be taking the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer. This is in shade Honey. Literally as simple as drawing the two lines on my nose, and then also on the tip, I'm just going to grab a brush like this, tap that in, and blend that out. I've been loving this product for my nose contour. I feel like it's a really, really nice shade. And also, obviously, where it's in concealer form, the applicator is perfect for the nose. It's just easy. So I can keep the shape, but as you can see, it's blending out really, really well. Guys, I'm actually going to take a little bit more of my really light HNB Cosmetics Concealer just here for a sec, and a little bit down the sides of the nose. I'm going to let that chill while I do my blush, and then I kind of blend everything together. For cream blush, as much as Sweet Cheeks is staring at me, I feel like something a little bit softer and maybe more like orangey today would be nice. So I'm going to take Peach Sugar to begin with. This is the Made by Mitchell Blursh, by the way. And maybe because I'm feeling a little bit groovy and funky today, maybe a bit of Mango Daiquiri. See, it will immediately start to blend. See, this is why I love the blushes, because you can literally custom a shade. Just tapping in that concealer quick, guys, and then I can tap the blush, and like the concealer will sort of help that to fade towards the cheek. Adding a little bit more Mango Daiquiri. So it's so buildable as well. You can make these as intense as you like, and I'm keeping that, as you can see, more on the top of the cheekbone, and then a little bit, whatever's left on the brush, I take to the apple. How cute is that? It's like a little sunset vibe. The shade Mango Daiquiri looks kind of intimidating, but on the skin it's not. Especially if you use a smaller amount, or you do what I have and kind of blend it in with other shades. It's just beautiful. By the way, whatever's left on the brush, I'm just going to take that down the center of my nose, like up here, kind of like in between the brows a little bit, just to kind of sun kiss that area. What I do like to do though is go back in with my brush that I use for the cream like bronzer and just blend the two together to make sure they're not like Neapolitan ice cream. Time for powder. I'm going to be taking my much loved, as we can see, Huda Beauty powder. This is in Cherry Blossom Cake, which is the pink one. I love this for underneath the eye. I'm actually going to take my mini sponge today, going in with a damp sponge, pick some of that product up underneath the eye, get right in there. I'm even going to take some down the sides of my nose as well and let that chill. It's the only place I like to sort of like bake. I love powder so much, like the difference. The best. Powder, I feel like, is what smooths. If you find the right powder and the right technique to apply it, I feel like that's what makes my skin look so flawless. As flawless as full coverage makeup can look. You know what I mean? It really does help to get rid of texture and also like prevent your makeup from like moving, really. If I just zoom you in to show you this, right? You see this side, you can kind of see a little bit of texture in comparison to this side, like how smooth this area looks. Let me tap some in so you can see. So sponge, dip into that powder, and then just press right underneath the eye, kind of on this section here. Like, look at the difference. This same powder I'm going to use just a little bit on my chin and a little bit in between at the brows and in the center of the forehead. Oh, I just realized my nail popped off. It's because I didn't put them on properly. As you can tell, these nails are so not really me. Currently waiting to get some new ones in, and I thought I feel naked without anything on my nails, so I just quickly stuck these on. They're cute, don't get me wrong, but they're just not very me. Like, I need my claws. To set the rest of my face, I'm going to be taking the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. How cute is this, by the way? This is their like limited edition anniversary packaging, I think. Look how beautiful that is. It's huge as well, by the way. Trigwell Cosmetics powder puff, dip into that, and I like to use this to set sort of the underneath here, and then obviously I can use the sponge to carve everything out. I love this powder. I've not used it in a while, but I love it. Such a classic powder. Like, this is the OG powder. I'm also going to use it to set sort of the T-zone area as well. The only place I'm not going to set is the cream bronzer and blush. Really making sure that this is set, because I want this to be a nice sort of matte skin look. And of course the nose too. One thing I will do quickly is just take a little bit of my Fenty Beauty foundation powder. This is in 250, and I'm just going to use this to knock off any powder that we had on there. Foundation powders are the best at doing this because they have a little bit of color. It means that you leave the perfect amount of like shape, like two kind of harsh white lines. It dusts it away and sort of blends it in, but keeps it there still. Does that make sense? And I find it sometimes helps to take away any sort of like grey colouring that some powders can leave. These ones don't tend to, but if that's the case, then yeah, and I do it for my nose as well. Okay, cool. Now that we are looking lovely and matte, I'm going to be taking some bronzer now to add some more colour to the skin. Jordana Ticia Cosmetics. This is my favourite one. This is in Fiji Fling. Because I haven't set these areas with powder, what I want to make sure I do is when I'm applying this, I'm just going to tap to begin with, just so I can lay down that powder. I find that if I end up sort of buffing and blurring too much, it could potentially aggravate the cream products underneath, which you don't want. We don't want it to go patchy. Don't put in all that hard work, babe, to ruin it. So I just tap like this. Once the colour starts appearing on the skin and you can see it all coming together, then you can kind of lightly buff the edges out. A little bit down here and on the nose. Can you guys see too how I'm following that same sort of like sideways triangle that I did for the cream contour? Bringing it up to the temples and then kind of down here. Cool. To be fair, I feel like you can still sort of see the blush creeping through, but I am just going to add a tiny bit more, but this time, because obviously we're going over powder, I'm going to pop them on my hand first, so the two Mitchell blushes. Little reminder, Peach Sugar and Mango Daiquiri. Where's that brush? Here it is. Lightly tap, just to enhance that a little bit more. You see that? The formula of these are great though, especially if you apply it like this after like powder. It's not going to break up your powder. We're not going to go patchy. Obviously where we've powdered, we kind of dulled down the colours a little bit, so this is just going to bring it back to life. And I love my blush, you guys know this, so of course I'm going to do this. Taking a little bit of powder now, I really want to bring back the bright under eye because you guys know how much I'm obsessed with it. e.l.f. Camo Foundation Powder in Fair 120N. I'm actually using a brush. Just picking up a small amount. This stuff is fucking pigmented, by the way. Right underneath here, you're going to see the difference between the two eyes and you're going to be like, whoa, what the actual fuck? Whatever's left on the brush, I just take down the sides of the nose as well to lightly help with the contour. Tiny bit more, like a tiny bit more. I'm just going to use that to blur the under eye into the blush, and then I can always go back in with the blush brush just to make sure that that's even. I obviously don't want it to look like a patch underneath my eye. I want it to look like it's blended in, but look at the difference from this eye to this eye. Just by adding the smallest amount of powder, really brightens, really lifts. That's just how I like my under eyes to be. I love the bright under eye. Obviously where this is a foundation powder as well, it has a little bit of coverage to it as well. Not that I need it, but the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking I do want to add something underneath the eye. Back in with that Made by Mitchell All Smudge No Budge Black Track Kohl Pencil. Ooh, hair. I'm just going to use a brush to pull down just so I don't ruin the under eye, and I'm just going to pop this straight into the waterline. These Kohl pencils from Mitchell are so fab, guys. Like, they just go into the waterline like a dream. Like, you see that? And it's just deepened that ever so slightly. I also think it's just made it look a little bit more cat eye too. I might pull that into the inner corner a little bit. That difference, it's almost taking it from like day to night, day to night. This eye, by the way, I mean, I have boring poo eyes, but if you have blue eyes and you do this, my God, I will literally take your hand in marriage right now because wow. When I say I'm going to take the smallest amount of black shadow now, the smallest amount on a really thin brush, buff that colour out ever so slightly. I really don't want to bring it down too far, but just enough so it doesn't just look like a stark line in my waterline. I'm also going to take a little bit of Sandy, you know that one that we used in the beginning? Just a little bit of that and just roughly blur it underneath the eye here. Just a small amount, just to make it look even more like seamless. I'm of course going to do my little moles that I like to do with my Misguided brown marker. May as well turn that spot into one while I'm here. Real quick, guys, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add the smallest amount of liquid highlighter, just a smidgen, just up here. Okay, not too much. Let's use this, the Revolution Bright Light highlighter. This, the Strobe's Champagne shade. Scrape some of that onto the back of my hand. It's like a little cute pinky tone. Baby marshmallow sponge, pick some of that up just at the highest point, like that. How cute is that Make Revolution highlighter, by the way? So nice. I like this Revolution one for this because it's nice and soft. Like, you can build it up to make it more intense, but it just blurs into the skin. It's just a little something. It's just not crazy, which for this look is obviously exactly what I'm going for. Skin's done. Now we can move on to lips and setting spray. So for lips, I'm going to be taking two of my favorite lip liners at the moment. These are by Doll Beauty. We have the shade Boy Bye, which is what I start with, and then I use Talk to the Hand on like the upper parts. Well, like the Cupid's bow and then like just here. By the way, the reason why I don't rub the foundation off of my lips, and I also like to make sure that like my lips are powdered as well, the only reason is because I like to overline. So I like a super blank canvas to work with. I like to almost cancel out my lips completely as much as I can. That way when I overline, it's just clear and concise for me, like I can see everything properly. Also, this gives me a nice base for the colour. Like, I'm going to get the colour of the lipstick. It's not going to kind of like combine with my natural lip shade and look strange. Does that make sense? Going in with Talk to the Hand, and this is like a dark sort of chocolate brown. For the lip colour, I'm going to take one of the P. Louise lip bases. This is in Baby Doll, which is like a nice light pink. I personally like to apply these with a brush, so I just squeeze a little bit on my hand, pick up some, and then I can just tap it into the centre of the lip. How cute is that? Like, that's such a lush shade. But I am going to take a little bit of my Morphe Mega Matte lipstick in First Base. Just a little, like, tap it on over the top, just to bring down the pinkiness ever so slightly. That's so cute. I think I'm going to leave this matte as well. Matte skin, matte lip, and just let the eyes do all the talking. Finish this look off with a little bit of setting spray. This is the NYX Matte Finish setting spray. I think I am going to use my Milk Hydro Grip too, because I feel like that as a combo is so good, especially if you have a matte complexion. This NYX matte one obviously complements the skin beautifully, and then the Milk one I feel like really helps to grip onto the skin, helping the makeup to last a little bit longer. Is it extra doing 2 setting sprays? Yes. But I'm doing it because I can. Once this is dry, guys, that is everything. That is this sexy Siren Eye tutorial my way. This is how I do it. If this is an eye look you've been wanting to create, hopefully this is easy to follow along, and I helped. When I'm out and about next, when COVID has started to from my body, I will be wearing this. And I hope you'll be wearing it too. And we're going to be stealing all the men's and the women's. Ladies and gents, thank you.